You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hey, music lovers! Welcome back to Modern Musicology. My name is Alan, and guess who's here? There's Rob Levy.
Hola, señora and señoritas.
There's Stephanie Seymour.
Bonjour.
And look over there, it's Anthony Williams.
Borada. That's Welsh for good day.
Very nice.
We're so cultured today. This is impressive. I feel so American because I don't know any other languages. So tonight we're going to be talking about a new article that recently came out from Loudwire about 80s bands that should have been bigger. And I was looking over the list and I noticed a couple of, and I was like, okay, well, this is kind of a cool idea. This might make a good topic. And then I saw a couple of names on the list that I thought, oh, we're going to want to talk about that. So we're going to get into that in just a second. But first, we want to talk about a couple of folks that were lost this past week. And one of those is Dave Mason. Now, Dave Mason was a founding member of Traffic. He has played with everybody. George Harrison, the Rolling Stones, Hendrix, Wings, a duo called Delaney and Bonnie. And he was, for about 5 minutes, a member of Fleetwood Mac. And in Traffic, he wrote their two biggest hits, Hole in My Shoe and Feeling All Right. And then his biggest solo hit was We Just Disagree back in the 70s, which was a huge hit and still gets played all the time on radio. And I absolutely love it. He recently, the last couple of years, was on his final tour. He was going to do his I'm not going to tour anymore kind of gig. And his agent, Michelle, who we've worked with on before, getting other guests, contacted us and said, hey, would you guys be interested in interviewing Dave Mason? And I immediately perked up. And she sort of said, he's going on a farewell tour and he's going to be coming through Atlanta. And would you be interested in interviewing him? And I was like, absolutely. And we set up a date and it was coming up and then his schedule changed and we weren't able to do it. And I thought, okay, well, that's fine. We missed our opportunity to interview Dave Mason. And I was really looking forward to it, especially about asking him about his time in Fleetwood Mac, because it's a very weird chapter of the Fleetwood Mac story. So then 2 weeks ago, Michelle emails us again and said, hey, guess what? Dave Mason has a new children's picture book that's coming out. That's basically, it's based on his song, Hole in My Shoe, which he has now also recorded a new version of. Would you be interested in interviewing Dave Mason? And I was like, oh my gosh, we get a second opportunity to interview Dave Mason. I was like, yes, absolutely. Let's set a date. 1 week later, he was dead. So and sad. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that we almost had Dave Mason on our show for a second time and it did not happen. And I'm so sad about it. Yeah, he was an absolute legend and a great songwriter, great musician. And I've been a fan for a long time. So I was very sad to hear that news.
I know that's terrible news. It's just awful. Ugh.
Yeah. And we have another one.
Yes, more bad news, which, every people who listen to this show might know I'm such an Osmond's fan. So it was so sad to hear that Alan Osmond passed away of multiple sclerosis on April 20th. He was 76, which is again, I'm just thinking how young people are. That's not old now, Right. But so a little history of Alan's time in the Osmonds began when he was probably younger than 12, of course, when they started rehearsing and everything to be in the public, but he was only 12 years old when they were doing the quartet. So Donnie wasn't even in the band at that point. Alan was only 12 and he was the leader of the quartet. And then, of course, as they matured and got older, he was the band's creative leader. He played piano and guitar and other instruments. And he co-wrote a lot of their songs with Merrill, co-produced most of their records, and like arranged a lot of the dancing, the choreography they did. But, he never really sang that many lead vocals. He was really mostly just a backup singer guy. Also, he produced TV shows, Donnie and Marie show, being one of them, large events and music videos and stuff. And also he was a philanthropist in a big way. He ran a foundation called the One Heart Foundation, which helps support orphans. And he founded that with his wife. And he was a motivational speaker. And he also co-founded the Children's Miracle Network telethon, which raised over $2 billion with a B dollars for children's hospitals. So
wow,
hot damn,
yeah,
that's amazing.
And he in 2000, just one more thing, he received the Dorothy Corwin Spirit of Life Award from the National Multiple Sclerosis Society.
Oh gosh,
and
wow.
Notably, he was a member of the California Army National Guard in the late 60s or early 70s. I'm not sure which, but anyway,
yeah.
So
wow. And the funny thing is, I guess it was just last week, and I was listening to Sirius XM, and an Osmond song came up.
Oh yeah.
And,
you told me.
My knowledge of the Osmonds is incredibly limited. Like, I watched Donnie and Marie on TV when I was a kid. That's about all I know. And that was kind of my image of what the Osmonds are. And the song that I saw was Crazy Horses. And I sent a screenshot to Stephanie. I'm like, look what I'm hearing on the radio right now. That song was fucking great.
Fucking great.
I was absolutely surprised by, this was a whole dimension of the Osmonds that I knew zero about. So I started looking into him and realized, how much he was involved in the writing and the production and everything. And I tell you, I was really impressed.
Yeah. Yep.
Not directly related to Alan Osmond, but apparently just on the conversation of Crazy Horses, Ozzy Osbourne apparently once told Donnie that Crazy Horses was one of his favorite rock and roll songs.
Oh, cool. Wow.
That's amazing.
So
sweet.
Yeah.
And if I had just heard the song without seeing the name, I would never have guessed that's the Osmonds.
Right. I know.
Yeah, it's quite a rocker.
It is. I was really surprised by it. So that's definitely some sad news. Anyway, one other thing, just to be a little bit more of a downer, I do want to talk really briefly about an announcement that the Indigo Girls made this past week. And, it has been noticeable to Indigo Girls fans that Emily has had voice trouble for literally about 10 years now. And some of that we I guess kind of put down to, as people get older, their voices change, your physical construction changes. And sometimes, that has an effect on the voice. And maybe this is just her getting a little older, whatever. But they have now said that she has been diagnosed with 2 different conditions. One is called cervical dystonia with torticollis. And compounding that, she also has an essential tremor. And basically that means that she does not have the ability any longer to hold her head still, and all the mechanism inside her neck and shoulders that controls the voice is all a bit discombobulated. Like, her brain isn't connecting to that stuff, and she cannot sing the way that she once did. And that is just absolutely heartbreaking.
Yes.
And Stephanie, you've kind of, not to put you on the spot or anything, but you've been through a thing similar that had that effect on your voice, and you had to relearn how to sing. Right?
Yes. Because I nothing like Emily's going through, but had a partially paralyzed vocal cord, which just caused a whole shitload of singing issues, and didn't really like Emily. One thing is that I cannot hold a straight note for the life of me. So it's you just have to learn how to use your vibrato. And I don't even know if Emily has vibrato, some people don't really have that, but you can learn that. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Yeah, I feel so bad for her. It's just, I could feel what she's going through in a way. It's so weird to have to come to terms with, like, your voice is never going to sound the same way if that's what you do, you know.
And I'm glad that they finally have addressed this publicly, you know, because it's been noticeable for a long time. And she kind of said that in the announcement that they made. It was a video announcement. But, you know, it could be that she's only just recently gotten that definitive diagnosis. Like maybe all this time she hasn't known what the cause of this thing is, and she knows.
That's true.
Well,
also.
And the other thing is, you know, with essential tremors, and my great aunt suffered from it. My future mother-in-law suffers from essential tremors as well. Yeah. You know, it takes a while to rule out things like Alzheimer's, right? So essential tremors is really just tremors, but it's chronic. Yeah. You know, there's nothing memory related or anything like that comes with it, but it's
right. So they need to give it time, like, in other words, to get the diagnosis or to rule out.
And make sure there's nothing else going on.
Right.
And then there are treatments, but varying levels of effectiveness from person to person. I mean, my great aunt basically had a constant, like, head shake. Like, she was always
yeah. And it sounds like from what Emily says, it sounds like that's kind of what's happening now. Yeah. And that's so sad. Yeah. And they were talking about the upcoming tour that they're going on, and they're going to have a couple of extra vocalists with them. And it sounds like they're mainly there to add to the harmony vocals, like in choruses and things like that. So I'm just wondering if there's going to come a time when Emily will be playing and somebody else will be singing her parts. I hope it doesn't get to that stage, but oh man, it's really sad.
Yeah.
I also just want to, you know, shout out that both Emily and Amy are graduates of Emory University here in Atlanta.
That's right. That is right.
You know, very, very sad to see one from our town, Alan, struggling so much. I mean, anywhere really, but it feels like they're particularly iconic on the Atlanta scene. Yeah, exactly. And they're my personal nomination for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think they deserve it. Anyway, that's another topic for another time. So anyway, we just wanted to talk about those three really sad events that just came up this past week. And we, you know, feel so bad for Dave and Alan's families and for Emily for what she's going through. So, you know, sending out all our love to all those people. All right, let's get into this list, shall we? Loudwire published this list, and you know, we always love these lists, like especially Rolling Stones, because especially Rolling Stones lists always seem to just include the most egregious nonsense.
We click the bait. Come on, we click it.
We are bait clickers, let me tell you.
It makes such good discussion material, though.
It does. If somebody's going to put out a list of bands for any topic, I'm like, click it. I'm going to see what they have to say. And this one was an interesting one. This was a list of a big list of 80s bands that they felt should have been bigger. And, you know, I was looking over this list, and there's some of them on this list that I've never really been that impressed with.
Yeah. Like 2/3 of them are like also total like hair bands that why is Y&T on here? Fucking break.
How much bigger did Y&T need to be, really? But there's some people like Autograph. I mean, Autograph had that one song, you know, Turn Up the Radio, and that's an okay song.
Right.
It's actually a good song, but it just kind of feels like everything else that was happening on that scene at that time.
I know.
Yeah. Kicks, Vixen. I was never a big Vixen fan. Bullet Boys. They, you know, I don't know how big these bands really should have been, you know.
He should have changed the list to bands I wish had been bigger.
Yeah.
That's kind of how that read to me.
You know, there are a couple on that list I agree with.
Me too.
Oh, sure.
You know, big shout out for XTC being on there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And X and XTC.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I don't know X, but I'm looking forward to discovering them now.
Oh, awesome.
They're like one of my, I almost got an X tattoo. They're like one of my favorite bands, Anthony.
Yeah.
Well, I obviously need to give a big shout out for Marillion being on there. Being the band I've seen the most in concert.
Sure. And as I was going through this list, I was thinking, oh, look, there's another opportunity for Anthony to talk about Marillion on our show.
Yeah. Go listen to Marillion, people. I mean, honestly, though, their 80s material was pretty big.
Yeah.
It's really once they changed singer and the transition in the early 90s over, well, late 80s, early 90s over to Steve Hogarth that I think struggled a bit. But
I wonder how different it was in England, though, than it was here, because Marillion at that time really only had one song that anybody knew, and that was Kaylee. That got some MTV play and a little bit of radio play. But other than that, I don't know that they made any kind of splash over here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kaylee got to number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100. It went number 2 in England. And I think they had a couple of other top 40s. I know He Knows You Know from Script from a Jester's Tear made it into the top 40, and Incommunicado did as well. And they certainly
over here?
never... Over here, yeah.
Did it really?
Incommunicado hit... wait, was it? It wasn't Billboard Hot 100. It was the mainstream rock charts.
But even then, I don't remember ever hearing that played on the... at least in our local, Central Florida market, I don't remember ever hearing it.
Yeah, I don't think I do either. I don't know.
That's interesting.
But, after the 80s in the UK, they were kind of a bit of a joke for a few years as well.
Yeah.
Which I hate to say because I think they're brilliant.
Yeah. And I think I've mentioned this before. Kaylee was really the thing that led me to discovering Marillion. So I'm thankful for it, to it for that. There was that sampler vinyl that came out that had Kaylee plus a couple of other, 2 live tracks and 2 studio tracks. And that was my gateway to Marillion. And there's some songs from that era that I think are spectacular. Script for a Jester's Tear, Chelsea Monday, Incommunicado. Incommunicado was amazing. Fugazi, Lavender. I love all that stuff.
And I mean, they were on an incredible run of albums between Misplaced Childhood and Clutching at Straws. Then Fish left, and they changed their sound, and they still sound really good. But there's, even though they've now done 17 albums with Steve Hogarth versus 4 with Fish, people still go, "When's Fish coming back?"
Oh, I know.
He's retired. He's now living on a farm in Scotland. He doesn't do music anymore. He's not coming back, guys. I hate to break it to you.
I know, but people won't let it go.
So on this list, there's 5 bands out of, I think there was 25 or so that I think should have been bigger, and also one of them was big that I don't even know. Why is the Alarm on this list? To me, I love them, and I think they should have been even bigger than they were, but they were big. Right, Rob?
They were big, but the whole idea is that they should have been, however big any of these bands were, they should have been bigger than they were.
Yeah.
Okay, then the Alarm.
Yeah, the Alarm. Yeah, when I was thinking about looking at this list and looking at XTC and X and the Alarm and to a certain extent Fishbone.
Fishbone, right. Well,
what it reminded, who just played here and sold out in 10 minutes. It made me think of what a lot of what was going on at the time was a lot of these bands like the Alarm and XTC, because we have the beginning of 120 minutes, right?
Yes.
And college radio at this point is really taken off. So labels could pretty much dump a band in college radio and stuff and just leave them there and just make as much money as they would if they pushed a record to top 40. So a lot of these bands sort of, in a way, college radio and that system sort of worked against them because they didn't get the mainstream exposure that they got. But if you look at all these bands 20 years later, they've influenced a whole generation of musicians.
I mean,
and that's because all the cool kids were mostly trying to listen to college radio or trying to find the next big thing at this time.
Yeah.
And I think college radio and sort of to a certain extent 120 minutes and things like that were sort of like the holding pattern until the world of commercial alternative radio came, which at that point you see bands like In Excess and Simple Minds and some of the bands that were just breaking at the end of the 80s are mega.
Right. But I mean, to me, the Alarm really reached, they remember the Summertime, that.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Rain in the Summertime. Yeah. But I think is, I don't remember hearing that outside of 120 minutes around my college station.
No, I think that was really a big hit for them. I thought, to me, at least it was.
Yeah.
I think that
mostly
was
on rock radio, not necessarily on top 40 or anything, but that was a biggie for them.
Yeah. That was
Sold Me Down the River.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Yeah, I don't like here, and I don't know if this is indicative of the Midwest, but they got a lot of play at like places like XRT in Chicago, right?
Mhm.
But like the modern rock stations here that would like mix, this kind of music with like classic rock and some harder stuff weren't really doing much with the Alarm at this point. And I think that when they signed their major deal, they thought they were going to be the label people were thinking they were going to be the next U2, because that is really how they were positioning them, is to sort of be the next U2. And I just didn't think it, and Mike Peters, having met him several times and interviewed him, he was one of the loveliest, nicest people in the world.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't have been in a band and been more accommodating to fans or anything. So it wasn't that the band wasn't working. I think with them, and to a certain extent XTC, it's that the labels let them down.
Oh, probably so.
Or just figured, this is an indie alternative band, we're going to put them there and they'll be fine.
Before we move off of the Loudwire list, I do want to say that there's one who I think has no place on being on this list, because their entire back catalogue was deleted for a reason, and that's Badlands. Because Ray Gillen, who was in Black Sabbath for about 5 minutes, contracted HIV, and then knowing he had HIV, continued having unprotected sex with women, infecting people.
I remember hearing about
knowing that he had it. And part of it as not so much a settlement, but almost like okay, we're going to try and avoid further traumatizing the family of his victims. We're going to delete his entire back catalogue and never allow it to be re-released.
Jeez.
And while I'm not a fan of, completely wiping history, I do feel like bands like that should not be promoted on a list like this.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't realize that was that guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a shame.
There's 4 others. One that you mentioned, Anthony, XTC, and Rob. XTC, I agree. X for sure. I 100% agree, because I love them. I kind of don't know why they weren't more huge, but King's X, which I love.
Oh my God, what a great live band.
I know. So good. And that, I think the list is right in that way, because man, they should have been huge. Love them. And also Fishbone, because I feel like if the Chili Peppers I used to just see Chili Peppers and Fishbone play together all the time. Like, I've seen them both dozens of times, like at the Ritz or whatever. They would come over here and play, and then they'd go to LA and play together. It was like they would just be together all the time. So I feel like if the injustice of Red Hot Chili Peppers getting huge,
there would be no big Red Hot Chili Peppers if it was not a Fishbone.
I know. And on that tip, the Toasters from New York, 24/7 Spies, Beat Brigade, the Specials, like all these great ska bands.
Living Color.
Later.
Yeah.
That whole scene, I just thought that should have been massive. And then it took No Doubt to make that whole thing huge.
Right.
Yeah, I think the thing with Fishbone, though, too, is that you couldn't really figure out what they were. They were black, but they weren't soul, and they were too heavy for sort of commercial rock. And where do you put them? I don't think people were going to risk.
And they were ska too,
And but if once people saw Fishbone live,
the
whole world changed. I've never seen anybody endanger himself more physically in a concert than Angelo.
I know.
But that and they're still amazing.
Yeah.
Like, they played here last week, and they played 3 hours, 3 hours 10 minutes.
What a show that must have been. In
a club with 350 people. And yes, he still throws his saxophone into the audience. They're just
great.
They're nuts. They're absolutely nuts. They were fantastic. And circling back to King's X, King's X was one of those bands that when I was programming college radio, they came in and they were trying to work that to hey, do you have any metal specialty shows? And I'm like, this isn't a metal specialty show record. Yeah. Why are you putting it here? But the guys that did the metal show, they loved it, right? They jumped on this in Red Cross right away. But we threw it in regular rotation. And when they came to to town. I went to see them at Mississippi Nights, and they were absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They were just fantastic live. And I think they're still doing some touring, but I'm not really caught up on what they're doing lately. But I was just really impressed by their musicianship and their way that they sort of crafted songs, and the fact that they didn't care how long their songs were. I just thought that was also great too.
I think they were just a little too weird.
Yeah.
To really make a path forward. And they don't really slot into any particular lane. And I think that it's great for a band that, can build a fan base because of that, but you're never going to achieve. And I don't know that they even cared about achieving big mainstream success. They probably didn't care about that because to them, doing what they want to do, the way they want to do it is the most important thing. And, but I think that they, just based on their musicianship and their songwriting, definitely deserved bigger than what they got.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the mid to late 80s to early 90s, if you were a band and you wanted to make it commercially, you did not sign to Atlantic Records.
Well,
King Missile, The Beloved, King's X, Camouflage. I mean, there's all these bands that they just dropped the ball on that later paved the way for Interscope happening. So
there's another band that's not a metal band on this list that I just wanted to mention also that I don't think should have been bigger. Quarter Flash. I don't understand why they were so big. I know Alan likes them. Yeah.
I'm surprised, Stephanie.
I think they were so uncool and not hip that's why I did. And I just don't like her voice, really. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know you like it.
Quite all right. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of them or anything, but I don't know. That's interesting. I mean, the hits that they had, I thought were great songs, and Find Another Fool was almost Pat Benatar level of vocal. I mean, I don't know. I always kind of liked them.
Listen to that one again because I don't really know that offhand.
Yeah, and she was also a sax player.
Yeah,
and so you don't get a lot of lead sax parts at the time that they're coming up.
Right. I don't think they were terrible or anything. I don't know.
Right. Okay, well, then let me ask you this. If you feel that way about Quarter Flash, do you feel equally about the Motels?
I knew you were just going to ask me that. Yes, I do. I don't really like the Motels.
They kind of fit right in together, don't they? And they kind of come up around the same time.
Not really a fan of,
okay.
Just don't like their music, think they're kind of boring, and don't think her voice is anything special. Sorry, Martha.
Okay. Yeah.
So next week on the podcast,
I always kind of liked both bands, but the Motels,
I
mean, they had some top 40 hits like Only the Lonely and Suddenly Last Summer was the biggie. And I really like those songs, but there's a few other ones too. Like I think was their third album was called Shock. And the title song is really good. And there's a song called Shame, which I really like. And one, it was a release as a single, but it didn't go anywhere at all. And it was called Icy Red, not like Icy Red. I like that one a lot. So I don't know. There's sides to them that I liked a lot. I don't know that they deserved bigger than they got, but they could have achieved more. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm very non-committal on a lot of these things on the list.
Yeah.
There's a few though that I do feel strongly about. One, there's a band called April Wine, and I think that they had and that's one of the ones that's not on the list.
I was gonna say I didn't see them on there. But.
Yeah, and that's one that I was thinking of that I thought could have been a bigger band, and they had a couple of things that rock radio really grabbed hold of. Sign of the Gypsy Queen was the first one. High Roller is a great song. Just Between You and Me was, I think, a top 40 hit. I don't think it got very high, but it was in the top 40. And I don't know, they were a really cool band. They're actually touring right now. They're the opening band on Triumph's tour. Triumph is on the list.
Wow.
And Triumph was a big band, but they only got so big, they never got as far as I thought they always should have. They were selling, they were headliners in mid-level venues and theaters and things like that. And they would get included in the big festivals and stuff, but they were never like headlining the festivals.
I think like in Canada, they were massive though, right? Because they're from, yeah. But
and they had so much potential to be bigger than they were, to be like A-listers. And I think they only got to B-list, you know, and I don't know, they should have been bigger, but it's interesting to see them
flying V's.
What?
They're flying V's. They fly.
Nothing wrong with a flying V. Oh my gosh. And you know, I've been a massive Triumph fan ever since they started. They're led by the guitar player Rick Emmett, who was the more of the like melodic hard rock kind of sound. Follow Your Heart, Magic Power is the biggie. Fight the Good Fight, great song, and he's a phenomenal guitar player. And their drummer Gil Moore, and they both are songwriters and lead singers. Gil Moore is much more of the hard rock sound, with I Live for the Weekend and Allied Forces and Fool for Your Love and those type of songs. And together they had a really cool dynamic. Like those two different songwriting voices and singing voices just worked so well together and gave that band more dimension. You know, they should have been bigger.
Yeah, they were actually really like a powerful sounding band. So I agree with that. They should have probably been there. But like I said, they are from Canada, right? I believe. Yeah. So yeah.
Another good Canadian power trio, just like Rush.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. They just never busted through here as much.
Yeah.
If these bands are starting to tour together, I'm looking forward to the inevitable Autograph, Y&T, and Vixen tour.
I bet they've been on a package tour together at some point.
Probably.
I will tell you, I was never that impressed with Vixen. I mean, it was novel that you had an all-girl metal band, but I don't know.
They were very average.
They were very
Although I have to say, what's her name? Drummer is amazing. Like, they're actually all good players. They really are.
Yeah.
They just together didn't, like, it wasn't special, really. Sorry, girls.
It's okay. No, you can have your opinion. It's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, they've really sort of recruited younger members as time has gone by. So I think it's really only Roxy from the original lineup in Vixen now.
Probably.
And certainly the guitarist is only 3 years older than me.
Oh, nice.
So but when Vixen formed, she would have been 2.
Jesus. But you know, that's kind of not that this is on the list or anything, but that's the situation currently with the Pointer Sisters.
Oh, really?
It's now like the Pointer cousins and Pointer granddaughters.
Yeah.
That
same thing with the Temptations and the OJs and
sure. Another one that's on the list that I think falls into that category of did they really need to be any bigger than they were? Kix. I mean,
great cereal, terrible band.
Great cereal. Yes, exactly.
That's our tagline for this episode.
That's going to be the title of the episode. Great cereal, not a great band.
Totally.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of those bands that sort of came up around that hair metal explosion. And a lot of the ones that are on this list kind of came around the second half of that time.
Yep.
And by then, you know, you're so close to, you know, and no one knew that it was going to taper off when it did. And when it crashed hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of these bands kind of got caught up in that fact that they just came in at like 86, 87, 88. And that's when everything was just about to crash out. And there was no way that they were going to be big.
It was almost Nirvana time.
It was, exactly. Exactly. Like the Bullet Boys. You know?
I know.
I mean, they had that one song, Smooth Up In You, which someone tried to tell me. I don't know if this is true or not, but someone told me, you know, that song is about anal sex, right?
Like, you don't say. In other news, Jawbreaker by Judas Priest is about blowjobs. Who knew?
That's from personal experience, though. I bet Mr. Halford broke a jaw or two in his time.
I suspect so.
Not that I know anything. Anyway, we're not going to get too far into that.
Oh boy.
There's another one that's kind of a one-hit wonder, Georgia Satellites.
Yeah, them and Thorogood on this list.
Right?
It's like those were bar bands. That's different.
Totally.
George Thorogood, when I saw him, was incredible, but I didn't go to see him for the sort of like je ne sais quoi of the musicianship. You go because you're at a bar and you're drinking and you want to see a band and
you want to hear Bad to the Bone, and that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, good God, if I never hear that fucking Georgia Satellite song ever again,
I know.
That and the Thunderbird, that Tough Enough song by the Fabulous Thunderbirds. If I never hear those again, I will be happy. But both of those bands, it's like, okay, those are bands that made their sort of money and cut their teeth on touring and playing live. So it's kind of like, yeah, I get it. They should have been bigger, but those were bands that weren't really thinking about, we talked about a little bit about this a second ago, that weren't really thinking about chart play. They were doing perfectly fine just touring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honeymoon Suite.
I don't even know who they are.
No clue.
I'm so surprised. They had a pretty big presence on rock radio back in the 80s. They had a few like big songs for rock radio. New Girl Now was a big one for them. Feel It Again, Bad Attitude. I thought they were a really cool band. I had a couple of their albums and I really enjoyed them. And they never really broke in, anywhere past that level that they achieved. And that was like, D or C level fame. And they I don't know, they were a fun band. I thought they were really cool. So I don't know, they should have been bigger.
Who's like Chilliwack and Giuffria? Like, I don't even know how to say
Giuffria. Giuffria. Yeah. And I recognize the name Chilliwack, but I was like, I don't know if I can even recall who they are. So I listened to a few of their songs today and I'm like, it's not that bad. I kind of like them. They're cheesy as fuck, but they're not bad.
Yeah.
How about
Red
Rider? Yep. Yeah.
Red Rider. And that's the one that I don't know that many songs of theirs. But Lunatic Fringe, man, I love that fucking song. Love that song. Anytime it comes on the radio, it's gonna go up to 11.
Yeah, it's interesting because I like them more later on, like after the fact. But I love that song too. Yeah. But again, were they destined to be massive? I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's kind of the charm of a band, that they get a certain level of success and they don't break through into big time. And, you kind of have that niche thing with your audience and the band. And I don't know, there's something kind of cool and special about that.
And that's what's happened with X and the Alarm. Both of those bands have like these huge sort of fan relationships with people that listen to them.
Yeah, yeah.
Indeed.
Man, I just heard an X song on the radio today. Oh,
what'd you hear?
Good. I don't remember.
Los Angeles.
It was so good. Los Angeles, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a great tune, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're talking about bands with a very special relationship with their fans, I mean, I got to bring up Marillion again because the way
Everybody
they
take a shot.
Yeah, take a shot if you're listening. But the way they engage with their fandom in the post-80s era, I mean, they were one of the first bands to crowdsource funding an album. As an example. Their fandom has been integral to how they operate for 25 years at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, they have their conventions every couple of years where they do a full weekend in various cities and do 3 different set lists over 3 different nights, and those are always sold out. They have a very, very special relationship with their fans.
Are they on a label, Anthony, or are they like their own thing, kind of?
They're pretty much their own thing. I think they do distribution deals rather than actually signed to a label.
Yeah.
Which, I like. They've got their own label, Racket Records.
Mm-hmm.
Because the studio they own is called the Racket Club. So, and they do a bunch of their sort of other, almost every single member of the band have other projects going. So a lot of their other projects do things through Racket Records as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, some of these bands definitely do have very special relationships with their fans. And, you could argue, should they have been bigger? Probably. But have they connected with their fans in a way that's really important? also yes. And I think most of them would rather have that relationship than be selling out arenas in 2026.
Although I bet you they wouldn't mind selling out an arena. That's probably the situation that Kix is in. We're not big, but we love our fans. I don't know.
Stop trying to make Kix a thing.
Right.
In all honesty, there are multiple bands on this list that I've never even heard of, and you guys are talking about them and going dum-de-dum-de-dum.
Well, Anthony's...
You are a lucky man.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, you were like 2 when they were all formed, so it's okay.
But I wasn't even born when Beethoven was happening, and I know who he was.
I know. Okay.
I'm kidding.
And the scary thing is I'm close to 40.
Oh, I know, baby. You're getting there. Woo-hoo. The hip's going to start going out, and you're going to feel the ache in your shoulder when rain is coming. It's all coming, man.
Oh, I've had that in my knee since my teenage years.
Yes.
Thank you, sports injuries.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, let's do a real quick break because we're a little bit over halfway through. Let's do a quick break, and we'll be back in 30 seconds to continue our discussion. See you on the other side.
Tune in to the DragonCon Report podcast, your ultimate destination for all things DragonCon.
Join us each month as we dive into our home away from home and cover the world of con fandom, cosplay, gaming, and more.
With guests each show, behind-the-scenes insights, tips and tricks, and the latest updates on this year's convention.
Whether you're a seasoned attendee or a first-time explorer,
the DragonCon Report is your passport to the ultimate geek experience.
Join us and let your inner dragon roar.
All right, we're back, and it's time to talk more from this Loudwire list. So are there any bands that you thought of that aren't on the list that you think should have been bigger?
Yes.
Actually,
okay.
Yes.
Good.
So I want to say, and I'm going to specify the 80s era because this band did blow up in the 90s.
Okay.
Faith No More.
Oh, man.
Because those first couple of albums are fantastic. And they didn't really blow up until Mike Patton joined.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But with Chuck Mosley, they were still fucking fantastic.
Sure a lot.
And that era deserved to be bigger.
Yeah. Good pick.
I tell you, everything I know about them, I just don't like. So I might need to investigate some of the earlier stuff and give it a shot.
We Care a Lot just blew up on college radio. That was sort of like the test case for college radio. That thing was everywhere that summer that thing came out.
And when the Red Hot Chili Peppers started their beef with them, they were like, oh, The Real Thing, that album sounds like Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic. Well, great. The Real Thing came out 2 years before.
Yeah.
And the album that the Chili Peppers did at the time, Mother's Milk, sounded nothing like them. So it's like, I don't think they ripped you off, guys. Like, chill out. Yeah. Chill out, Tony Kiedis.
Right.
So my band on the list is kind of personal because I love them. And when we had them at the station, they were supposed to do a 45-minute set, and they ended up doing 3.5 hours just because they were having fun. And that is The Fix.
God damn it. I love that so much.
Fix are brilliant.
I love them.
I love that band. They were nice. They were gracious. And they were just, I mean, I don't understand why the Police made it and the Fix didn't, because they sort of drew the same audience. They were like English and cool, but they weren't too far out. They had the style going on. They drew other influences into their music. And, graphically, their records were great. I just don't understand. I think the curse is that they were on MCA, honestly. But what a fantastic band.
Yeah.
Saved by Zero, when that came out, people were like, what is this? This is amazing. And then, they really captured the angst of the 80s, too. You got Less Cities, More Moving People. And,
great song.
They sort of got that whole zeitgeist of, we're living in the nuclear 80s. And they were fantastic. And I really wish they would have been bigger, because what a fantastic band.
And they were definitely big. They just should have been bigger than they actually were.
Yeah, they should have been huge.
So the thing about The Fix is so much of their material now is not available for streaming.
I was just noticing that tonight. I was looking through their list, and a lot of it is not there, and I don't get it.
Because I remember I didn't discover. I say discover. I wasn't introduced to them until probably about 10 years ago. And I listened to that second album on Spotify at the time, Reach the Beach, and I was blown away by it. The way it culminates in Outside. Oh boy. And I went to try and listen to it a few weeks ago, strangely, and not there anymore.
Huh.
Crazy.
I was upset.
That's insane.
I was very put out.
You were inconvenienced.
Gonna write a complaint.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to say my two favorite. Actually, I've got more favorite Fix songs. Two of them are from a greatest hits collection that they put 4 new studio tracks on, and that's out of circulation now. So I don't have access to those songs anymore. But other than those, my two favorites are Sign of Fire and fucking Red Skies. Man, I love that song.
And I just checked; they're not on Apple Music either. So I don't know what's going on with their streaming.
That's crazy.
Weird licensing, or
yes, gotta be.
It's very weird.
Gotta be.
I have 9 bands that I thought of, and I'm just gonna list.
You
them,
actually have more than I do.
I have a. Yeah, go ahead, Steph.
I'll just list them. I won't say anything about them unless you want to.
We might.
Split Ends.
I knew you'd
Crowded
say
House.
them.
I think that, that's my first.
Yeah, they're great.
The Replacements, because I feel like even though they were pretty huge, they weren't like. But I think that's. I think I know why they weren't. Like it was more like self-destruction.
Yeah.
Stetsasonic, you guys know how much I fucking love Stetsasonic. Should have been the king of rap. Like they should have been the kings, and they are the kings, but they're just, I don't know. They never made it huge.
Yeah.
A band called The Adventures. I don't know if anybody knows them.
Don't know them.
Love them. Aztec Camera.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The Cult.
Oh, the
which
Cult.
I think became big, but
Yeah.
not as big as
That was on my list too.
Yeah. Oh man, the Cult. They were so
Japan.
cool.
Japan.
Yes.
Echo and the Bunnymen, and
Yes.
Susie and the Banshees. That's my
Oh,
Okay.
Susie, come on, man.
Yeah.
Man, they're the best.
And
So
just to draw some threads, Japan had Richard Barbieri in, and he, of course, is now known for being in Porcupine Tree, but he's also done a couple of albums with Marillion Steve Hogarth.
Look at this.
So
It all goes
some
back.
very weird connections going on here.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple. Some of these are gonna throw you guys kind of curves, sort of piggybacking off of for a while in the 80s, we started to get this concept of like scenes where bands from certain places were kind of getting big, but it never really blew up like it does now. There's a bunch of these bands from Athens that just didn't Athens, Georgia, that just for some reason should have been huge, and one of them was Guadalcanal Diary.
Oh yeah.
They were great. Every time I saw them live, they were amazing. And every bit as melodic and catchy as REM, but they could also rock a little more. And Murray Attaway was a fantastic songwriter, and I really wish, Watusi Rodeo. I mean, if you want, songs that have to be catchy and weird, they have Watusi Rodeo, right? But they've also got, Litany Life Goes On, which is kind of anthemic and very much of that time, and just a bunch of other stuff. I thought they were going to be absolutely bigger than they were. The other one saw a little bit of success in the 80s and should have been even more massive in the same way. This is kind of in the same way as Fishbone, and that's Oingo Boingo. Because I don't know what A&M was thinking, but like nobody really had a huge fan base I do people that like literally would like walk over dead bodies to go see Oingo Boingo, right? And just a fantastic live band. Like Johnny Vatos was one hell of a drummer, right? Bartek was a really interesting sort of musical accomplice for Danny Elfman, and they really knew how to write songs that appealed. They could be funk, they could be, they could play fast if they wanted to, and they could also do just weird new wave. So they're on my list. Also, kind of strangely enough, I know he had a couple hits, but you thought there was going to be more in the tank. Terrence Trent D'Arby.
God.
Oh,
my God. Yes. How did I not think to put him on my list? He
So
should
good.
have been enormous.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just should have been absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Great voice, on Sony. And Sony kind of made the decision that they were going to put their money behind George Michael and not Terrence Trent D'Arby. And
I mean, that paid off for them, so,
both.
you know.
Yeah, but they easily could have done both.
Sure.
Right? Just what a fantastic musician. And you talk about crossover appeal. He had, at a time when every artist wanted crossover appeal, he had it, right?
Yeah. Like
he had incredible stage presence.
Yeah, and piggybacking off what Stephanie said with Echo and the Bunnymen, the Chameleons were really great. Just sort of never, they just didn't get over here in time.
Yeah,
I'm guessing, but they got a little bit of a push on MTV, and then they just kind of petered out, which is kind of, and you could say the same about Flesh for Lulu, right? I mean, I Go Crazy was huge. They were in a John Hughes film. They're one of the few bands that had a John Hughes film and didn't parlay it into commercial success, right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Just should have been bigger. I mean, they had the whole glam rock British thing, Billy Idol.
Gene Loves Jezebel.
They had the Billy Idol and Bowie, and T-Rex thing all going on at once, and maybe that was pulling too many directions, but they just couldn't really make it work. And then two other bands that I kind of discovered through punk, and I was listening to a lot of glam at this time and punk sort of simultaneously, and I would go to parties and you would hear Hanoi Rocks and you would hear Faster Pussycat.
Yes!
And those bands live were fantastic.
I saw Faster Pussycat so many times.
Hanoi Rocks were actually really gaining ground, and I think somebody got in some kind of accident.
Well, Michael Monroe.
Yeah. And sort of paved.
Razzle died.
Yeah, those guys there wouldn't be a Guns N' Roses without bands like that.
Listen,
right?
that was when that was what's his name from Guns N' Roses. Motley Crue. That was driving the car that killed Razzle, right? Like that was Vince Neil. Yeah. That accident.
And then Steph, one of my bands is one of yours that I didn't think you would. I thought you would have mentioned. That's Driving and Crying.
Oh, you know what? It's so funny when you said scenes, and I was like, "Oh yeah," like I should have just mentioned Driving and Crying. So thank you. That's
just a band. If you're not familiar, they were from Atlanta. They had this unique ability to capture that Southern rock thing that people loved with sort of the presentation of U2. So it was kind of like U2 and the Alarm and all your like classic Southern bands all rolled into one thing, and they just didn't make it. But they're a hell of a live band. Again, it could easily be the same thing. Hell of a live band.
And they did have that one massive hit, what's it called? Of course, that I can't remember because I didn't work that.
Yeah. the other one too that I thought would have been even more bigger than he was Lloyd Cole and Lloyd Cole and the Commotions. Just in terms of the musicianship and what was on those records, I just thought for sure. Like if you listen to Rattlesnakes, why isn't this guy? Why isn't this guy doing it? So that's kind of my list.
Okay.
About you, Alan?
I've got 9.
I know. Yeah. Can I jump in with one before you go into your list, Alan? Because I have I had 2, and I mentioned Faith No More. The other one, they were huge in Europe, but they didn't really break into the US market, and that was Halloween.
Oh yeah.
I think they deserve to be so much bigger. As that sort of European power metal sound didn't make it to the US because the glam scene was going on at the time.
Yeah.
And God, it was just so much better than the glam scene.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of people that I knew from punk circles that really dug them.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah,
I mean, they had the speed, they had the edge, they had a sense of humor, and they still do.
Yeah,
they had the speed, but they also had a high level of musicality. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just a blur of notes. They were very, very musical. Loved them.
And those two, Keeper of the Seven Keys, Part 1 and Part 2, the 2 albums they did in the late 80s are just phenomenal.
Phenomenal albums, yes.
And, of course, now they're still going, and they have their Pumpkins United lineup that has 3 vocalists and all of the guitarists, and it's incredible.
Pumpkins United.
Yeah, because that's Halloween. Their little emblem is a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
And they call their fans pumpkin heads.
That's right.
It's great.
Love it.
It's great. I love them.
All right. I've got 9 things on my list, I'm sorry to say.
Let's go, Alan.
The first one is April Wine, so we've already mentioned them. All right. A band that had a series of hits, but only did 3 albums, and I think they should have been bigger than they were, Berlin.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely love Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that they suffered from not really having like their first 2 albums sound similar. Their third album is very different. And I think they sort of had an identity problem, you know, like they tried to do different things and it just didn't catch, you know. Their big hit was that Giorgio Moroder song, which doesn't sound anything like Berlin. And I think that hurt them too. Absolutely no one who listens to this show will be shocked that I say an artist that should have been bigger is Charlie Sexton.
Oh.
No one's surprised, are they?
No.
Man.
No, he should have been. And he's playing on so
been.
many great people's records right now that you can totally understand that. And the fact that he can play, you know, with someone like Elvis Costello and make it work compared to his style. I'm so glad I got to see him when he toured off that first record.
Yeah, I wish I had.
Because he had a really great stage presence as well.
Yeah.
He had everything that you needed for that.
I think there was, you know, they thought, they being the industry, I mean, he was really touted to be the next huge thing, and it just never sort of happened. I mean, you know, obviously he's got, you know, massive success in his own right doing what he does, and he's well respected, and he's like Rob's, and you know, he's still but yes, that's a real good pick.
A band that only did 2 albums, had 1 big hit, and both of their albums are incredible. They did a 3rd album later on, but only 2 in their prime. Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians. I love them so much, and they never rose to the level that they should have gotten, I don't think.
Yep.
A band that had a lot of success and some good hits, and did a lot of songwriting for other bands and big hits with other bands, and that's the Hooters. No one's surprised to hear me say the Hooters. A band
on my list too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw the Hooters live before I heard their record, and they were great. And then after All You Zombies came out, like the video was great, and they had they followed it up with And We Danced.
Yep.
You know, just what a phenomenally great band. And Rob Hyman's like a really fantastic songwriter.
Yes, he is. Both of them are.
Yeah.
Eric Bazillion and him.
Yeah,
both.
yeah, you're right.
They both were songwriters and singers. A band that I mentioned in my first Alan's Record Bin, my little side project, half-hour podcast, a band that I mentioned is Lone Justice.
Yes.
Incredible band.
Yes.
And then here's 3 weird ones that you might not expect me to say. Soup Dragons.
Oh,
I think are super cool and never really got much success at all, and I think should have been bigger. China Crisis.
I saw them.
Very cool band.
Good.
And an Australian sort of like white boy funk band that nobody in America has ever heard of. Rob probably has, but nobody else has. And they had just a couple of albums, and they had 1 song that did fairly well over here called Sugar Free. And that's a band called Wawa Nee.
Oh my God. They're Sugar Free.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
That first album is incredible. It's just a string of fantastic songs, and they never really went anywhere.
Australia had a bunch of really great bands this time. They had the Hoodoo Gurus, they had the Models, they had Pseudo Echo, all these
Hunters and Collectors. Paul Kelly and the Messengers.
I almost put Pseudo Echo on my list.
That first record of Pseudo Echo with Listening and A Beat for You on it was like in rotation really cool. with all the Angular Haircut kids.
Haircut.
When it came out, I actually played them on Record Store Day, and people were like, "What is this?" So
so there you go.
And I'm glad that you put Lone Justice on there too, because they didn't know what to do with them. Because I think a lot of people saw them like, "Oh, these guys are gonna be like punk," and then they heard them, they're like, "What is this?" Right? And I don't think they weren't gonna play them on country radio, and they were just kind of couldn't be pictured, and it kind of sucked for them. Which I thought was not really fair.
Agreed. Anyway, well, that's it. That's our list of 80s bands that should have been bigger.
Yeah.
Loudwire has also done a list of 90s bands, and I predict that we will tackle that at some point too, because I think that's going to be a fun topic.
Yeah.
Because I can think of a lot of other 90s bands that should have been bigger.
We just keep rising to the bait.
we can't help it. You know, these people put out lists just because we click the bait. So
getting back to the Soup Dragons, it's interesting because like the first two records are like these really like British indie C86 records, and then they make the record with Junior Reid that's the Rolling Stone cover, and everything changes. And you were right, they are absolutely rolling. They found their groove, and then just nothing. It's just weird.
All right, so that's it for this episode. We're going to be back in a couple of weeks. And guess what year it is when we come back? Guess what year we're going to be talking about?
Woot, woot.
1986. Woot, woot. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a good year.
Yeah.
I can't wait. So we're going to have, as we've done with most of our 80 shows, we'll have a two-parter. We'll do 1986 part 1 in the next episode and part 2 after that. So stick around for all of that stuff. All right, let's tell people where they can find more about us, because everybody wants to know. Everybody's dying to know more of where they can find us. So Anthony, lead us off.
All right. Well, as always, you can find me on the Watchers in the Fourth Dimension podcast, watching our way through all of Doctor Who from 1963 until wherever the hell the show is up to when we catch up, which we currently calculate to be sometime in like 2032 or something like that. Anyway, as always, you can find us in all the usual places you like to get your podcasts, whether that's Spotify, Apple, Amazon, etc., including wherever you're listening to this one. On the socials,
right here.
On the socials, you can find us as Watchers in the Fourth Dimension on Facebook and at Watchers4D on Instagram. And if anyone is insane enough to want to follow me personally, you can find me on Instagram at Englishman in ATL.
Anthony, I will follow you wherever you lead.
Yeah.
Aww.
I know,
Thank
right?
you.
All right, Robbo, give us the list.
So you can find me on Louder Than War Radio on Mondays from 12 to 2 Central Time with a show called Antics. I just finished show number 152 for that.
Wow.
And and then also the same day from 5 to 7 Central Time, Brooklyn-based The Face Radio. I do a show called The Free Design. And on Wednesdays, Community Radio St. Louis, CRSTL.FM, Juxtaposition. And that's still going on. It's been gone for about 7 months, but it's back now. And so we have that. And then you can find my writing at different places.
All right, Steph.
You can find me on Stephanie Seymour Music on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at there_r_birds. You can find me on Bandcamp under my name. And you can find me on Spotify and all the usual streaming platforms under my name.
Can you find your stuff on any of the unusual streaming platforms?
No, I'm only on the usual ones. Sorry.
And mine you can find at cosmiccreative.com. That's spelled with a K and a Z, in case you're interested. Cosmic. All right, y'all. We'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about 1986. I'm excited. Everybody take care. Have a great week and keep rocking on.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.